All right, and we are now recording live, and I have the beautiful Robyn with us. And I will briefly ask her to introduce herself, as well as if she is able to share with us a phrase or introduce herself to us in her own language.
Mm-hmm. So Tanse Pazu Inin, hello. In creator's name, my name is Gasoki Puta Mistahai Esqueo, Charging Grizzly Bear Woman, and I come from the Wolf Clan. My English name is Robyn Sulli Rashad. I'm a First Nations Anishinaabe Niawa woman, and I'm originally from the Nissawasik Cree Nation, Opipinapiwin Cree Nation. In Cree, that means those who live south for the winter. So I come from a long lineage of hunters, trappers, storytellers, matriarchs, and leaders. I'm very grateful to be here today. Thank you so much for having me.
Of course. I'm glad that Robyn could join us for episode 12. I have to say, wow, episode 12, because I myself, as the host of this podcast, I lost track of how many episodes that I had done prior to the pilot episode till now. And I'm very grateful for this opportunity. Robyn, in fact, is the beautiful sister, as everyone could tell, the beautiful sister of our previous guest, Dr. Carly Feldner, and I am honored to have both of the sisters join and participate on the podcast. So, thank you for introducing yourself. That was a beautiful demonstration of sharing our languages and our cultures and revitalizing what is very important to all of us Indigenous people, which is our self-identity as First Nations, as Indigenous people. Whether we're Cree, whether we're Sioux, Anishinaabe, we're different variations of Cree, because there's Woodland Cree, there's Plains Cree. Those are the two that I currently know thus far.
Rocky Cree.
Rocky Cree.
Yeah.
As
Swampy Cree. Yeah.
Swampy Cree, as Robyn is. I find it very beautiful, and I feel very honored to be moving forward, because episode 12, the changes that are being made moving forward all throughout season 1 and going on to the next seasons forward, I've rearranged questions, and I am glad that I included in the question for a guest to have the opportunity and also the honor of sharing a little bit of themselves and their language. So thank you.
Thank you.
Moving on to question 2. What was a turning point in your life or career listeners would never guess?
Yeah. So when I first started out Eagle Medicine, it actually came to me in a vision 4 years ago when I was building out a program for Indigenous youth to reconnect with their gifts and medicines. So I was raised a lot of majority of my life, my younger years in Winnipeg, Manitoba, West Central, and all over, basically. My mother was a northern nurse, so I moved all over Manitoba, but Winnipeg was a place that I continuously went back and forth with. And so I grew up around dysfunction, chaos, you know, some of that intergenerational trauma that exists within our communities and within our bloodlines still. Anyways, I grew up around people not really telling us or talking to us about our future and how that may look, and kind of what do you want to be when you grow up. And so I wanted to give back to my community. When I became sober 5 years ago, I applied for a grant, and I was shocked when I received that grant, and that was from We Matter. It's a youth initiative. And so I was like, wow, I guess I really have to create this program now, which at that time I did not have a name. And so as I was building out the platform and the special guest speakers and including those who would be speaking to the youth, I knew I had to do this work in a good way. And so naturally, I put my intentions forward and I followed protocol, and I received that name through a dream, which was Eagle Medicine. And so, naturally. Being a mother and, being a provider and a matriarch in my home and taking care of my family, Eagle medicine kind of went on the back burner until I became a single parent. And that was 2.5 years ago. I stepped away from a long-term relationship, which was my children's father. And then not only was I the nurturer, the provider, but I was everything to my kids. And so that's when I really stepped into Eagle medicine with full conviction. And I decided that this was more than just a program offering. This was my business. And so that was the huge turning point for myself to really get clear on what it is that I was going to offer for a service and business. Mm-hmm.
Thank you for sharing your answer. I must say that various stories, and I've never been how do I say it? I've never been a survivor of addictions. And I'm not going to say never, because never say never, because it could be bound to happen. I mean, I don't know who my future self is. I don't know who my 10-year-old self, who my older self in 10 years or in 20 years, I don't know who she'll be.
Mm-hmm.
But I do know that as of right now, I am not a survivor of any form of substance addiction, and I'm grateful for that. But when I hear of individuals close to me, such as yourself, whether it's guests who've gone through the sobriety and renewing themselves and becoming into themselves. I have to say I agree, I can draw parallels with my life, of course, the parallel that all of us, if not all, majority of us have dealt with various convictions. Convictions of whether or not we want to be lenient towards this pathway or that pathway. Do we follow in line? Hip, hop, hop. Do we march, and do we follow the patterns that were taught to our mothers and fathers in residential school? Do we berate our children? Do we belittle our children? Do we do that with ourselves? And do we try and numb that out, the pain of what we as children survived growing up in those homes? Do we turn to alcohol and variations of substances to numb that out? Or do we lean a little over to this side, and do we, as mentioned, discover a turning point in our life where it is brighter and fuller? So I'm honored to know your story and know a little bit about you, and to hear of your challenge and your adversity and what you saw leaping into being a full-time businesswoman that also gives back to the community. So thank you.
Thank you.
And on that note, was there anything else you wanted to add before we moved on to question 3?
Yeah, I really like that, how you recapped of, leaning on this side and making a choice, how to change the trajectory of our life. And I think it really is about building awareness of oneself and reflecting on things that we experienced or saw in different counterparts, like our parents. For me, it was realizing that I wasn't addicted to alcohol or drugs. I was addicted to numbing myself and running away from my pain and my trauma. And so when I started really reflecting and practicing introspection, then I realized that what I needed was care and love for myself. And then with that, I learned to become a better daughter and a better community member because I was doing that inner work. And I started seeing my parents not as people who carried trauma, but actually small children who also needed love and care. And so, respectfully, my sobriety journey has made me a better person.
And I want to say that as a cheerleader and as a fellow Indigenous woman, I commemorate you and I am proud of you from this end to your end. Thank you for choosing the path of sobriety. Oh boy, I'm doing my best not to cry because, as I've said in previous episodes, in order for us to move forward with reconciliation, in order for us to even live and practice and live by the word of reconciliation, it's not just what the white people or the European Canadians, what they themselves can do when we're the ones receiving it in terms of reconciliation, but it's also across the board of all Indigenous, First Nations, Métis, and Inuit. And I've seen bits and pieces. I haven't been infinitely directly impacted from it, but I've heard about it and I've witnessed it and I've seen a bit to know that there's quite a bit of lateral hate and lateral disdainment for us, for one person, for one woman, or for one man, or for one youth member of the community to get out from that hole or from the well of addictions and to build a life surrounding ourselves with positivity and with goodness and with family and with community. So we need to have the difficult conversations. We need to have the conversations of the history of Canada. What happened and the long-term effects. If we don't have those conversations.
Sorry. Please,
Okay.
Please hold that thought. My son just woke up from his nap.
Oh.
Okay, so just bear with me.
Yes.
Okay. I'll be right back, okay?
All right.
Oh, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Okay.
So right.
Sorry about that.
No need to apologize for being human and for
Oh, thank you.
I'm always the person, and I'm not staring at the camera, I know that. I'm currently just shuffling through a bit of my my belongings here, but I do want to say I'm definitely the person where I would love for people to know that I am a safe space. I'm a safe person to talk to, not just aside from during the podcast, and to be comfortable that way, but also that if I did develop friendships and if I did start and build friendships outside of the podcast with my guests, I would want them to know that they can be comfortable around me to say, oh, hold on a minute, I currently have supper on the stove, or I'm currently putting my child down for a nap, or my child is rummaging around in the background. Very much that's my contributing factor, my contribution to being a better person and to being a person who has holistic views, especially within the 13 teachings of the 13 poles of the teepee. I don't want I don't want to ever be that corporate girly, that it girly that's all all um all work and no play, because laughter and having conversations and connecting, even right now, this is being social, this is having conversation, this is talking, and this is us utilizing medicine.
I love that. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. And the 13 TP teachings, that's beautiful. Is the 13 TP teachings, is that what tribe is that?
Well, I'm Plains Cree, so it would
Okay.
be the Cree teachings, and
Oh, nice.
I haven't memorized all 13, and I haven't memorized all of them in order, but I do know there's love, understanding, and respect, and that
Lovely.
is, those are, those are traits, and those are my elements of contribution towards how I conduct myself with inviting people and sharing a space with people, especially when it comes to the Indigenous Central podcast. In fact, those are the values that I would love to continue moving forward with each episode. That's why I always ask prior to the recording episodes if my guests are comfortable and if they need time to adjust their workspace or adjust their seating position, or if they needed a break prior, then by all means, we're human beings. We're not robots. We're not, machines. We're not as how corporations expect their workers to be. So
exactly. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that.
no, you're welcome. And sorry, I lost track of where we left off. I know we were discussing reconciliation.
Reconciliation. Yeah. Yeah. You were talking about the kind of negative view some European Canadians might see Indigenous people. And so, yeah, and as you were speaking and you were sharing that topic, and I assume it was going towards a question. And so, if you want to finish that, and I could add to, or what came to mind right away was, I had someone that I look up to in community, and she's a matriarch. She's a leader, and she cares deeply for people. And that's Deb Gopher. And she's Niawa as well. And she's also from the Wolf Clan. And I asked her one time, I was like, this work is heavy. I asked her because she does a lot of reconciliation work. I was like, how do you go into those spaces and not feel heated or feel triggered? Because obviously that was feelings that I was going through at that time in my personal life and professional life. And mind you, this was 2-3 years ago. But, she said you have to come from a heart-centered place and speak from your heart and, think about the people that you care about. And when we can share stories and knowledge and understanding from that perspective, from that lens, then we are able to have a clear language around how we want to show up in that work. And I always took that into perspective, and I carried that knowledge with me since the first day I heard that from her. And so, thankfully I'm not as heated and I'm not as triggered, because what I've came to realize is the woman that I want to be, right? As I said, and the woman that I'm meant to become is someone who speaks with intention and speaks from their heart. And I wholeheartedly believe that everything I do and everything I say carries weight, and that is a responsibility. And so, when I go into spaces, when I come on podcasts, when I present, when I speak, when I speak to people in my work, I don't only bring myself, I'm a reflection of my family and my bloodline, my grandmothers and my grandfathers, my mother and my father, my children. I'm a reflection of them. And so how I carry myself and the way that I, use my words, I am also not only creating a reputation for myself, but I'm also carrying that responsibility of the woman that my bloodline has curated. And so when I think about reconciliation, I think about, we all have a responsibility. We have a responsibility to share our teachings and our knowledge and our stories and, speak from a heart-centered place so others could understand. And when people understand, they not only view you as someone who's speaking, they view you as a human being. And that is relation. And so when we can become relational with someone, we can then develop relationship. And so that is what, to me, reconciliation looks like. It's about kinship, it's about relationship, it's about reciprocity. Not only what I can do for you and what you can do for me, but how can we walk together in this shared responsibility and vision, which again, in return, is going to benefit our future generations, like my children, your children, our grandchildren, etc. So yeah, that's all I wanted to share on that.
Yeah, thank you for that. Going back, I've sort of picked up a little bit, recalled a little bit of what I was trying to convey is it's not just between the two races that clearly have a history where there's tangible and intangible consequences, but it's also with us ourselves internally for that, intertribal respect and love and understanding and holding a space for one another and not being jealous, not being envious, and not being, pitiful, not trying to break down someone, to knock someone down. It's very much holding the space to be the cheerleader for someone and being open to receiving that, being reciprocal to that. And as women, we are in connection with the Mother Earth, and especially during our moon times, we're in connection with the moon, grandmother moon. So it's not something that I take lightly when I say, please be comfortable. Please, don't feel that it is necessary for you to apologize for something. If you're a mom and you have to, help your kids, go down for the nap, or if you have to remind your kid, to sit still while they're dancing in the background, please do that. Because again, working on that reconciliation with each other intertribally and intercommunity, that's where true reconciliation comes from, and that's where it stands. And having those difficult conversations moving forward with everybody involved.
Yes, I agree. Yeah, that's important.
Yeah, very important. And on that note, is there anything else that we haven't covered for question 2, or?
No, I think that you summed it up nicely at the end. Hi, honey. Yeah, of course. Come here. Come have some water, baby. Come here, my baby. You want some water? Here, I'm just gonna go give him some water.
Yeah.
Okay.
Glad the little ones are enjoying themselves and are being little ones because
Yeah.
and again, reconciliation intertribally and with ourselves, the fact that you take the time as a businesswoman and as an entrepreneurial woman to take care of your children first, that
Okay, he wants me to grab the water. I'm so sorry.
oh good.
Okay. He's like, okay, give me the water, take the water. Like clearly he is the boss. Like, yeah, like
Yes.
at the end of the day, it doesn't matter who I am or
Yes.
what title I carry.
Yes.
That goes straight out the door when my kids are present. So
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
they are the light of our lives, right? They are the
Yes,
center of
exactly.
our reality. So
Yeah, they are. And
yeah.
that again is reconciliation inside the home because
Mm,
again, you're putting your children first, whereas during the era of residential schools, we were very much discouraged from that, and we suffered greatly and
mm.
horrifically in terms of that. So, but leading on to question 3, okay. What is one tangible change you're fighting for in your field, and how can listeners support that effort right now?
Reclamation to business.
Mm-hmm.
Business is not a new concept to Indigenous people. We've
Mm-hmm.
always been hunters, trappers, providers. We've always been people who have been taking care of communities and families.
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't business, it wasn't entrepreneurship, it was just a way of life. And
Mm-hmm.
so, what I am trying to teach through the work that I do is reclamation of Indigenous worldviews and values. And that is being able to provide for our families on our own terms and not systematic terms or
Mm-hmm.
based on what you see now in mainstream business, which is very individualistic. I have
Yes.
a background in social entrepreneurship, and for me, it's about creating a business model around issues that are relevant to us as people, as Indigenous women and communities. And so, that really spoke to me when I was like, what am I going to create a business around? But it was
Mm-hmm.
reality of what am I identifying right now in my worldview that needs support and that needs resources and help and services created to help alleviate this issue. And that is social economic empowerment.
Mm-hmm.
It's remembering, and it's about women, men, and those future generations coming forward to develop business models that not only help and serve them and their families, but their communities and the things that matter to them. Mm-hmm.
Yes. I can draw a parallel. Well, I probably should say I draw a parallel, but it is true when I identify a similarity with my life and the intertwining. It's very fascinating. It's our own small little world with Indigenous people, but I I can again, I'm trying to work on how I speak and what words I use because words. And I'm gonna put a little, describe a little anecdote that may have heard of him, but he was a renowned martial artist, Bruce Lee. And
Mm-hmm.
he said something to the effect about speaking and spelling and how your words can have effect. Because when you speak, you are essentially you're speaking in way of spells because it's spelling.
Mm-hmm.
How you say, how you describe something, how you say something, how you describe yourself, how you describe your community and your peers, and those around you who you're intertwining your network with. It's it's a form of spelling. It's a form of spells, because words have the power. Therefore, be careful how you speak. So instead of
Mm,
saying but, or in replacement of but, and,
mm,
or also, or and as well. It's very much the way we communicate and how we show self-respect and self-love and self-honor towards ourselves. And I find that a very poignant, meaningful point to put out there.
hmm. Awesome. I love that. I think the same way. I'm very conscious of how I say things, and obviously those root words and those added words, especially
Mm-hmm.
like blessing. And
Yes.
I have stopped. I really try not to use that word because,
Yes.
again, what you were saying, like less, right? Bless, less of. And we think that it's
Mm-hmm.
abundance, and we think that's more of something, and that it's a positive notion. But to me, blessing is less of. And so
Mm-hmm.
um, in our household, we don't say that word. And I'm teaching my children not to
Mm-hmm.
say bless you when someone sneezes. I
Uh-huh.
say all our relations, in respect to all our grandmothers, grandfathers, and all our relations. And so my kids, mind you, they're 4 and 2. So when we like, achoo, all your relations. And so they go to day home and they say that.
Mm-hmm.
But I explained to them, blessings, bless you is less of you, and there's no less of anything. There's more of.
Mm-hmm.
And so honor your relations.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Another alternative to bless you, another synonym, if you will, is another spelling is excuse you, or honor you, or
Ooh,
be to
yes.
be creative with it, and to
I
not
love
to
that.
mince words, but to play with them, and to utilize them as tools, because they are spelling. We are spelling out the words by speaking, by the pronunciation, by having conversations.
I love that. Yeah, exactly. Thank you so much for sharing that. Honor you. I like that. I'm gonna use that. Honor you. That's a good one.
Yeah, I don't know where that came from, whether that blew out of my butt, or like a beluga whale, or if that just was on the tip of my tongue and needed to be said. But
It needed to be said. Exactly that. It needed to be said.
yeah. Well, before we get a little too carried away, and just to allow you to finish off, and if there was anything you wanted to add for question 3 before moving on to question 4.
Yeah, definitely. Something that I advocate for and I speak. Yeah, here you go, baby. Here, I'm just gonna give him my phone. And so
Mm-hmm.
yeah, so we can try to get through this. Yeah, just patience, baby. Patience. Look. Okay, mommy's almost done. All right. There you go, honey bunny. Okay, there you go. And you have to leave it on. Just give me a second, honey. There you go. There you go, sweetheart. Yeah, and so again, just circling back to that question. So a lot of my work is around personal and professional development, leaning more so on personal. And so I say this often, if you want to be successful, it's not about what you produce and, what you push out. It's about what you create within you, because everything starts within. And so strive for balance and strive for understanding of self and what matters to you. And how you create is a reflection of everything that is of you,
Mm-hmm.
not outside of you. Yeah, I'm just finishing this. Can I finish this? Do you want to color? Do you want to color? Okay, where's the phone? Do you want to watch the monster trucks? No? Do you want to sit with me? Okay. He's just going to come sit.
Yeah. Hello. That's it.
Hi. Is this recording going to be published somewhere?
Yes, on YouTube.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I don't put my sons on social media at all.
Yeah.
Okay, here, sorry. Let me just try my best to help him. Here you go, baby. No? Okay. Let's see.
I can blur out his face in editing.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, thank you so much. Yeah, I
Mhm.
don't post my children on my public
Yeah.
social media accounts at all. Okay.
Yeah,
Awesome.
that makes
Thank you.
sense.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Yeah,
Yeah.
and so as I was saying, the work that I create is all around personal and professional development, more so personal development. Why? Because in order for us to be successful, we always have to go back to our holistic well-being. And so when we take care of who we are and what we stand for, and we are driven by values and what we want to create, not only outside of us, but within us, everything becomes a reflection of that. And so when I talk about business, I talk about, okay, what do you stand for? How do you want to lead? And what is the legacy that you want to leave behind? And the only way to do that is prioritizing yourself and your well-being.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So that's my jam. That's my work. And I love what I do.
Yes. Yeah, that being said, that was the objective, that was the purpose, the goal of creating the Indigenous Central podcast is similar to you, is bridging gaps within communities, especially Indigenous communities. And because, as you said, it's very individualized, it's very based on individualism, businesses that we see on social media and mainstream media. Therefore, the Indigenous Central podcast is to build a bridge where Indigenous professionals can introduce themselves and their professions to mainstream media, and hopefully we can put it more towards mainstream media and, make it more identifiable for Indigenous professionals and for their businesses, if they have their own businesses, to to get the word out, to spread the word to a broadened Indigenous audience. So, yeah.
I love that. I love what you stand for. That's amazing. Your purpose is beautiful. And I'm so grateful to be a part of that.
Well, I'm grateful to have you here. All right. Rounding off, or rather, sliding off, or how do I say that? Coming off, rounding off from question 3 and leading into question 4. Can you share a little known fascinating fact about your job, culture, and community that most people misunderstand?
Yeah. So when I go into spaces and I talk about what I do, a lot of people are like, that's new, that's different. And so I explain to them that, wellness in business is important. When you heal the root, everything, when you heal the root of one's being, we can then grow new branches of hope and inspiration and motivation for others.
Mm-hmm.
And that trickles into everything that we do, and especially in our leadership, right? Because
Right.
I never thought I would be a role model considering how I grew up. And then when someone said, I look up to you, which was my little cousin Joan,
Oh.
I'll forever remember that day. And I was just like, wow, this young Indigenous girl looks up to me.
Mm-hmm.
I have to change. I have to be someone that that she can learn from in a good way.
Yes.
And so I think people, are so caught up in societal norms and what is business, which is
Mm-hmm.
very, again, returning back to that individualism, exploitation, and capitalism. And that's
Yeah.
just not what I stand for. That's just not something that I care for. I think that, we are in such a unique position to not
Mm-hmm.
only create and provide services and products, but also, again, being a role model that our younger generation can really look up to and be proud of.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? We're planting beautiful seeds, and that's something that I want to be able to not only be a part of, but nurture.
Yes.
And so that's why it's important to me that, I dedicate my time and effort to this work. But most importantly, I'm trailblazing a path forward to really, what is prioritizing one's well-being and what does that look like?
Mm-hmm.
And not only do I offer it in terms of my services and workshops and everything that I create, but I also have to lead in that way too.
Mm-hmm.
I have to practice what I preach.
Yes.
So in terms of answering to your question, I think people are getting curious of what does seeking balance in business look like? What does taking care of oneself in business look like? Especially in leadership,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because,
Yes.
I am so sick and tired of that hustle and grind culture and, again,
Yeah.
never really putting forward what's important, and that's joy, and that's happiness, and that's pleasure, and that's new adventures, and spending time with your family. Like, that is success to me. Like, having a
Mm-hmm.
regulated nervous system and being joyful and happy in the
Yes.
work that I do and what I provide, and being able to spend time with my children and not be tired at the end of the day, like, that's success. That's how I measure success. And I want to be able to share that and extend that to others to really adopt how that looks in their life.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
Yes.
Yeah. So hustle and grind culture is
Mm-hmm.
not success. If all you see is a return in profit, and that's how you measure your success, as a elder once told me, Chief Moon, then you've lost the point of life.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Yeah, touching on that, I agree with you. I too hate the get up and go and the grinding and the hustling. It's just that being said. Okay, give you a minute.
I'm so sorry.
No.
It's okay. Come here. Come here, Havens. Okay, I think you grab it.
So before we close off question 4, was there anything else that either of us needed added for question 4, or?
I think I'm okay.
All
If you
right.
wanted to add anything,
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah. On that note, a misconception, or rather an assumption made, is that you know we're set for life and therefore we don't need to make businesses, or if we make businesses then it's going to be at you know a low market value, and that's just not how we do that. Therefore some of us um do have to bite our tongue, and some of us do have to swallow our pride, and for some of us the only option is to hustle and to grind. And it's not who we are as people, but the circumstances and the society that we were thrown into, and that we have to work around, and that we have to live in, and that we have to work in, and we have to carry out our daily life. And you know, we don't, not everyone, and it's across the board of globally, countrywide, is not all of us have the affordability, the luxury of returning back to native, but we still have to put our culture and our teachings first.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
All right, leading on to question 5. What is one example of reconciliation in your life or career?
Yeah. So when I started school in social entrepreneurship, everything just changed for me. Not only career-wise, not only getting clear on my path and my purpose and what I wanted to do for business, but getting connected with elders, getting connected with the culture and the traditional way of life. And what does that mean, being an Indigenous woman? It was there that I got to sit and listen with Anishinaabe elders and connect with people in my community who were really reclaiming our culture. And my life just changed. My life just changed. And so not only did I attend ceremony, but then I started making sense of why I was the way that I am. And, you know, yes. Okay. Sorry. Just give me a second.
Yes.
Yeah. I'm feeling overwhelmed right now.
Aww.
Yeah, I am. It's hard when our littles are not feeling well, right?
Yes.
But also, like, again, going back to the fact that we still have to navigate our careers and our life and what matters to us. And this work matters to me. And so that's why I'm here, and that's why I made time for it. And that's why I fit it into my schedule, because it matters.
Yes.
And so, you know, like I said, when I went back to school, everything changed for me because I got connected to the culture, and I got connected to ceremony, and I picked up a drum for the first time in my life. And I always say to the younger generation when I share my story, ceremony and drums save lives. And that is the truth. And so when I became a mother and I chose sobriety, I enriched myself in our culture and our ceremonies and sitting with elders and absorbing all the teachings that I had the privilege of being able to be a part of and to listen and to learn, so I can pass it down to my children. And that's how I decolonize myself and my mind, and ways of being, because it's also reconnecting, you know, because we're always connected. We were always connected. And now there's just language, and there's culture, and there's a presence in our life now. And so my children will never question who they are as Indigenous boys. That will just never be something that they'll be confused about, you know, and I take pride in that, because, you know, when I was younger, I was just like, well, what is in a native anyways? Because what I was seeing was very not good.
Yes.
And so, like, who am I? What am I? You know, because I am a light-skinned Indigenous woman. I look Métis, but I'm First Nations. My dad was Métis, but my mom was full-blood Rocky Cree. And so I see my dad here with dark hair and light blue eyes, and, you know, he's a hunter and he was part of a Métis community. And then I see my mother from South Indian Lake, you know, and she was dark and she was a short Cree woman. And I'm like, Well, what does that make me?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And
I'm
Yeah.
sorry. I am sorry.
You know, I was very confused when I was younger. And because, you know, the effects of colonization and the repercussions of the erasure of culture and the Indian Act and all those things, right,
Mhm.
that I learned later on in my life, um, I didn't know who I was and I was lost because of that. I always struggled with my identity. And when I had the opportunity to finally connect with elders and ceremony and culture, I finally found who I was. And that desire to identify who I was as a First Nations woman. And I still get emotional because I know, although I found my way and I'm creating this beautiful life for my children and this beautiful foundation enriched in their culture, I know that there's a lot of our people that still struggle with their identity.
Mhm.
And this is why so many of us are struggling to navigate this society, because this society wasn't created for us. And so I just pray for them. Those are the ones that I go to lodge for. And I sit down and I put my intentions forward that one day that they too will reconnect with themselves and love themselves.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
It is a very telling and trying journey for all of us. Reclaiming our identity and reclaim what was shamed, for us to speak and practice. So coming back to that, and I am amongst the young ones, the children of residential school survivors who unfortunately was not taught her language. That was very much brought home with them, the shame and the hurt and the pain and the denial of their language. My mom, she does speak with her family, and I've had the privilege and I've had the opportunity to understand bits and pieces and pick up a little bit of her conversations in Cree with her family, but I was never directly taught it. I was never sat down and taught. Hello, see you later. How are you? I love you. I was not taught that in our language. And being an Indigenous woman, especially from the Cree tribe, it's heartbreaking and it's thought-provoking at times in many ways, because you're doing your best, especially as an urban native, as a city native, doing your best to identify yourself and to
Mhm.
find the time, to find the space, and to find the moments where you have ceremony just by yourself, for yourself, and with yourself. Let alone, especially if you're a city native, there's not many reliable or many people who believe in being respectful of your time and respectful of that desire, that yearning of returning back to ceremony and going back to visit the reserve. City natives, and again, I've seen and witnessed and heard that many city natives, they're very much about, I got to do this, I got to do that. They're very much focused on the grind and the hustle, and they're doing a million things for everybody. And there's never the time to set aside to say, yes, let me reclaim back what was stolen from us. Let me go with you and take the time and let us go back and return to ceremony and to our teachings. And that's about all that I can say on that point of reconciliation. It's a trying and a thought provoking and a very to be walked down the path with intention. It can't just be reconciliation. Oh, let's have a barbecue. Let's have a celebration. Let's have a teepee raising. Reconciliation is beyond that. It is beyond Truth and Reconciliation Day. It is the everyday life. It is the everyday looking in the mirror and saying, do I recognize who I am? Do I recognize this person standing in front of me in the mirror? And what more can I do to better myself and improve myself against all odds and all barriers? Who am I? And asking that every day and either getting the same answer or getting a different answer and then going, okay, how can I move forward and build on that and continue on that?
Yeah, exactly. That's really good. It's beyond Truth and Reconciliation Day. Now, how are you showing up for the next 364 days? It's a good one. Yeah, I love it.
I love it even more. All right. So we are leading up to our last question for the episode, and as well as the closing statement to finish off and to wrap up the episode. We'll start with question 6, which is what is an unpopular opinion you hold about your industry topic that you want to share with our audience?
Don't get consumed by the rat race. I know we're juggling a lot and we're doing 100 things sometimes, not only as entrepreneurs, but people, mothers who are holding down homes, doing all this work behind the scenes, the personal development component, taking care of one's heart, mind, spirit, and body. Sometimes it's really important to just take a step back, put on your observer lens, and really ask, what is this all for? Ask your why. Why am I doing this? Why does it matter? Why should I continue to move forward? Because when we are not consumed by what's in front of us, then we can be a hawk in nature and really look, or even be an eagle and soar beyond our limitations. Then we can see the fuller, bigger picture of it all. Then we can really understand our purpose in it all. So don't be consumed by what's in front of you. Step back. Observe it from a bigger view, bigger viewpoint, and take into consideration, why am I doing what I'm doing?
Yeah. And one unpopular opinion I have is putting yourself first, but that can be an unpopular opinion for many, especially as reclaiming natives. And given that's not how society, how capitalism, how colonialism built industries and companies and corporations and industries function. They don't function on taking the time for your health and your mental well-being, your holistic being. You know, it's not just mental, it's physical, it's emotional, it's spiritual. It's very much hit the alarm clock and rush out the door, rush through traffic, and be at your job at a certain time and do your work within a certain time frame. But that's not how we as Indigenous people view ourselves and hold ourselves. That's not how we hold our candle. That's not how we keep the light of our candle from staying lit. And so that's my unpopular opinion, which is put yourself first. Yourself is number one and is priority.
Hey, I agree. Yeah. If the airplane's going down, put your oxygen mask on first so you can save your kids and save your nation.
Yes. All right. Well, I just want to say thank you again for sharing your journey and your wisdom with us today.
Hey.
It's been truly insightful and very, very, very driven, very much forward thinking, and very much to the teachings where we go by our own time. We go by the time of the sun. We go by the time of the day. We don't go by these corporate societal time frames, time blocking, time management. Thank you for bringing those teachings back and for presenting that for our audience. For our listeners who want to connect with you, where can they find you online? And what is the single biggest action you'd like our audience to take today, whether that's visiting a site, supporting a cause, or changing a perspective after hearing your story?
Call to action, listen to this podcast. Your call to action is to listen to this podcast and listen to your amazing host, Stella Musqua. Yeah. How potential listeners and viewers could connect with me. You can find me on LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok. I also have my own website, Eagle Medicine. And so a lot of my taglines are Eagle Medicine Coaching. And on LinkedIn, my full name is Robyn Sulli Rashad. Yeah. And so, reach out if you have any questions or you're interested in what I have to offer. I'm always happy to connect with people too. Not only work related, I'm always happy to connect with people and build capacity and community around the initiatives that I'm so passionate about. If you're interested and to learn more and just to have a chat, reach out. And also, my call to action is that you are unique and we are all complex individuals. We all have something to offer. And it doesn't matter about, education or skills you've adopted. Your lived experience is your foundation of everything that you have to offer in this world. We look at things so differently and we have such beautiful perspectives and storytelling and learning and sharing that knowledge. And so if you want to create something, remember you have gifts, you have medicine, and you are more than capable to show up in that at any point in time. So do so. Hi.
Hi.